Sam Bankman-Fried's former associates pleaded guilty to defrauding investors and are now cooperating with the government. Manhattan U.S. Attorney Damian Williams made the announcement last night.
The Southern District of New York has filed charges against Caroline Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda Research, and Gary Wang, a co-founder of FTX, in connection with their roles in the frauds that contributed to FTX's collapse. Both Ms. Ellison and Mr. Wang have pled guilty to those charges, and they are both cooperating with the Southern District of New York.
In the video, Williams reiterated his call for others involved in the alleged fraud to come forward as the investigation continues. The SEC and CFTC also announced charges against Ellison and Wang for their alleged roles in the multi-year scheme to defraud investors. A CFTC statement said the two accepted the claims made against them. The SEC...
My question is, why isn't old Gary facing some charges? He had multiple meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried about the FTX exchange. Why didn't he see this? If they're the rulers of the land and they know what securities are and they know fraud, and that's why they're suing Ripple, why didn't they see this with FTX? How could they not spot that this exchange was flawed? Anybody with any kind of insight or foresight, had they have looked at this exchange and they had the amount of control that our SEC has and old Gary has, the most corrupt individual probably in the United States, you would think they'd be able to spot FTX. What if I told you they did spot FTX? But what if I told you it was allowed by the Democratic Party, as they received over $8 million in donations, which I believe it was 10 to 20-fold what they're reporting, since they're giving back $6 or $8 million. But they took donor funds from SBF and FTX, the Democratic Party, stolen funds, and didn't care how they got them. That's the fraud. And this is all orchestrated so that they can bring in regulations to crypto. Just remember, the moment they bring in regulation to crypto, it doesn't matter how small, that notion of it's not regulated by the government is gone. It's gone.
That Wang and Ellison had also accepted, quote, bifurcated settlements in connection with the complaints and are cooperating. A lawyer for Wang told us, quote, Gary has accepted responsibility for his actions and takes seriously his obligations as a cooperating witness. Ellison's attorney did not immediately respond to our request for comment. Next up, the charges against Ellison and Wang were announced the same night SBF was on his way from the Bahamas to New York, where he faces 8 federal criminal charges. Williams also announced last night that SBF is now in FBI custody and will appear before a judge in the Southern District of New York.
And as we know, since this aired, he's been released on $250 million bail. And supposedly he was only worth $100,000. Then they said his parents put up their house, but their house is only worth $4 million. So it's all bullshit and a big government corruption.
As soon as possible. SBF has 48 hours from when he landed last night to appear in court for his initial hearing as of noon Eastern. The SEC is increasing the scrutiny
of other people.
And finally, as FTX's collapse has rippled across the industry, the SEC is increasing the scrutiny of the work audit firms do for crypto companies. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, which cited a senior SEC official. In the interview with the Journal, the regulator's acting chief accountant warned investors to be, quote, very wary of some of the claims that are being made by crypto companies. We've reached out to the SEC for comment, but as of noon Eastern, we hadn't heard back. FTX's implosion has impacted liquidity at companies with exposure to FTX and led to investigations by regulators around the world.
Good early afternoon, 12:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, December 23rd, 2022. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. As you can see, the Dow was up about 122 points. The DXY is down 0.13%. As we still continue to try to hold this support area without falling down farther. If we do fall down any farther than approximately We're right at that level. We haven't pulled down completely, but if we pull down any farther, we could possibly get a retracement back down to 103.87. Right now, though, we haven't quite broke down. We're kind of hanging on the fringe line here. And we've got some interesting things working on in the market. If we look at XRP, still sitting at that 351 level. It's very important where we're at, too, because this actually, even though I like the 355, this is actually a very key resistance at this level to get past, which is the 351 approximately. And that's what we're working on right now. We haven't gotten over it yet, and that's in this slight descending triangle that I have created on this USD chart. But you can also see if we just slightly change the way this pattern is a little bit. Well, this is the farther, if we break the 355, then we can come up to that symmetrical triangle, which, like I've said, it still makes me a little uneasy because we're got to retest that 371 drop point. And until you retest it, you can't really get the confluency and the confirmation that we're breaking down. Now, when you see this chart, you can see how we broke up top of the descending triangle at about the 355. This is what we're talking about. If we can break the 355, then it would give us a clear path to come back up. But right now we got rejected so far. At about the 355, it hit almost perfectly, 3547. And then so far it's pushed back down. Is this pattern done yet? It's hard to say. Let me go to the USDT chart. And this is where we've, early on, we broke over this first level. And this is the 348 level. So now this is why this becomes important. When you start bringing your charts together, you start to get like a confluent motion here. And with XRP, if you look at it in the 4-hourly, we are within some very key formational areas. And it really speaks on this chart. You got the symmetrical triangle, the bull flag on top, bear flag below, within a gigantic descending triangle. A gigantic bear flag. And we're just looking to lose these areas. Well, now we're doing the verification on each of these levels. So right now we could get the verified dump. We already hit the 371 in this first push up. Came down. Now is this the verification on the 355 level? Come down. Re-verify the 348 as resistance. Come down. And then you'd have the 335 that you would work the bottom side of. Whoops, clicked the wrong chart.
That is making the rules that are going to benefit European customers.
I thought I clicked this one the first time. The 335 underneath. And then once you lose that, well, then you can start opening up based on some of the other charts. Then you'd have the 3-2. I say the 3-2-1 underneath. Then you have the 3-0. You could even say the 3-1-8, but because it's an uptrending, the farther across you come, oh boy, the more it's going to change. But this is such a great way to look at it, because then you don't have to worry about the levels. You've got it all right out in front of you. So is it going to come up to 371 first or reverse back down to that 321? Well, we'll know if it breaks the 335 in the middle. Or if we get above the 355. It's very simple. And yes, there's a lot to learn when you watch my charts, and there's a reason why I go back and forth, and it can be confusing, I understand. But right now we can see this initial pivot level that we're fucking with right now, and that's the 351. That's on this one chart. They all show you. So you can see your little in and out areas. But overall, if we take this out, overall, I'm not liking the formation setup. This still looks very bearish. There's always signs that we can push up a little bit, but to me, and this is just me and this is my channel, and you're here to see what I'm interpreting the charts as, since I was the one out on an island saying that the whole community is about to crash at $1.66. And when Bitcoin was plus 60K. You know, so I do know what I'm talking about. I do know the levels that would have to be broken to change this from a very bearish thesis to somewhat of a bullish. Right now, though, going into the Christmas holiday, I believe the markets close at 2 o'clock. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what it is. It just, everybody was looking for that Christmas rally, and this obviously fell flat. Yeah, now we're coming up, and we've come up a couple percent on a few things, maybe 1% on some, but really we're flat. We're flat. So pay attention, and I'll show you Bitcoin real quick before I leave, because I wanted this to be an XRP inclusive update with a little bit of info in the beginning. That's why I shared with you the CNBC stuff about the crypto. Give you a little bit of a, here's what the fuck's going on moment. You can see we're dead in the middle of this falling channel. So then we got to go look at our other charts to try to get a little verification what the hell is going on. This uptrending support's down here at 16,530. And then over the top, as you can see, we've got this downtrending resistance, which we're still using as a resistance. 16,000, like I said earlier, 16,900. If we stay below 16,900, that could call a dump. If you're shorting and it goes above 16,935 roughly and holds it, well, then you might understand that your short could be in a, not trouble for like, oh my God, we're going to the moon, but you could be in trouble in the fact that this could come up to first 17,300. Let's make no mistake about it. First resistance would be 17,300, then 17,900. So if you're shorting the market, obviously that would have a negative effect on your portfolio. If you want to join Tom's Army, as the only pitch I'll give to you to join the other 214 members is the fact that I do no paid advertising, no paid promotions, and there's no special interest. I don't get paid to talk about a product or a specific exchange or crypto. I cover this because these are what I believe in. I believe in the ISO, and I believe in these exchanges that I tell you about, and I'm trying to save you from having to pay spot fees. If you want to join Tom's Army, get the exclusive Telegram, get the exclusive emoji badges, and also pay it forward for all the hard work I've done. Hell, if you don't want to do that, you can even send a super thanks right before Christmas. You want to send me a Merry Christmas? Send me a super thanks, 2, 5, 10, or 50. I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, join Tom's Army and become the 215th member and give me that Christmas miracle. Hashtag the FUD stops here.